Good morning and welcome to another date on This Morning. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today, the youth and the critical question of leadership 2019 and beyond. Now, this subject matter appears to be gaining currency, especially in recent times, and understandably so, ahead of a seeming be-all and end-all general elections for both the ruling APC and incumbent President Commander-in-Chief Muhammadu Buhari. Proponents of a generational change or shift in national leadership appear to be losing their voices. So the debate about the youth and the leadership is as contentious as it is straightforward. Let's have a robust debate. First of all, we'll meet and greet our guests. Victor Okai is a film producer and critic, but also is a political commentator. Victor, I greet you. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
We also have...
and the candidate for 2019.
You are not selling yourself here.
No,
come on.
Just,
but then we have Chuks Nwoko, also a youth. Okay, he's not an old man. He's a publisher and social commentator. Chuks, I welcome you.
Good morning to you, Citizen Jones.
Yeah, gentlemen, the age of mental development is between the brackets 18 and 40. At 18 years, you know all the questions. At 40, you know all the answers, supposedly. Does the Nigerian youth fall within this bracket? Victor?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the program. I think it is important that we realize the fact that, you know, while, yes, we make sweeping generalizations, that people, depending on the environment, depending on, you know, the environment, the exposure, the education, people mature at different times. We have people who at 60 are still acting like babies, and yes, we may have some who at 29, 30, 35 are very responsible and are holding very responsible positions.
Depending on the environment, as you rightly said.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Environment, background, exposure, the education. Yeah. So all of that is brought to play. And so we have seen, for instance, one of my favorite examples of youth and leadership in this country, and I want to use the example of living examples, if you like. Some of our leaders today were at their best when they were younger. I recall that the reason Buhari was voted for again was because people remembered his exploits when he was younger, in his 30s as president. And so people who remembered, who had such fond memories of a man who had a Spartan life and who was disciplined and all of that, you know, decided that's a man that probably Nigerians needed at a time like this. Awolowo, Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, and the rest of them, except for Zik. Zik was in his 40s, yeah, around the mid-60s or thereabouts. But the others were in their 30s. And these were our leaders at the time. And leadership in Nigeria, I mean, I have very fond memories of when I was growing up. Things worked. I could go to a public tap and drink water from there without
directly.
Any fear. Exactly. Yeah. There were water hydrants. I didn't grow up in Lagos, but I grew up in the north. There were water hydrants all over Jos, where I grew up. If there was fire brigade, you just go to a nearby water hydrant and refill. Turn it on, and then the fire truck is ready to go and kill the fire. Light was more stable. So many things worked. The people who ruled at the time were in their 30s. Murtala Mohammed was in his 30s, was about 39 or thereabouts, you know, more or less. And so, you know, they were at their mental best. They were at their how do I put it now, at the physical best. And they gave the nation their best. And then flip over and then look at some of them who are still alive now and see what we're getting from them today. So obviously, even in a product, you have a product life cycle. There's a time when you grow up and then maybe you get to a point, and then eventually,
again, depending on, as you said at the beginning, the environment and the circumstance.
For the youth.
Chuks, youth has no age. If I go by what he said, so it's a matter of definition.
Definition, all right.
The French president, Emmanuel Macron, is 40 years, one extreme. The North Korean president, Kim Jong-un, is 33, another extreme. They are not old men.
Thank you for having me. For me, youth has a definition. Youth can be defined by their characterization or characteristics, if you like. I didn't have the fortune of what Victor described as an experience. I was born at a particular time where people that I was born with who were born in Lagos, in Jos, and in the north and all that, I didn't have the opportunities that they had, like you said, because of the environment and time. The war just ended, and those of us that survived, we had this protruding stomach and all that. On market
Kwashiorkor.
Kwashiorkor.
Maybe that's what you call it in your town. But on market days, they brought these UNICEF food items, salted, whatever.
Yeah.
Not starting life early was what befell some of us, accompanied by the cousin called poverty and all that. So I'm saying that I didn't have early start at 18. I wasn't matured like 18 who had early start in Jos or in Lagos and all that. But having said that, for me, youth has a definition. And youth is identified by its youthfulness or erosion of those values that are necessary for life. But they come with the advantages. They have strength and all that. And I have examples to cite to demonstrate what I'm saying. We have World Cup in Russia in the next 4 months. We're going to be represented by our youths. Nigeria is represented right now by some youths in South Korea in the Olympics and all that and all. That's what they bring to the table. They have strength, they have energy, they represent nations, there are PR tools.
They are there, the ladies are there essentially because of the environment, and exposure.
The point I'm trying to make here,
I
understand,
yeah.
is to describe for you what youth is. Now,
Yeah.
if you bring the same youths to come and man political positions, it might be a different kettle of tea. But like I said, for me, youth has definition. There's the two examples you cited. Exactly. The Prime Minister of France is 40 years old. For me, what he's able to bring to the table, I'm still watching, I'm following and all that. But I do not like the fact that you were born and you're just 40 years old and you're married. So youth bring that extra. He's married to some grandmother. Then the guy in the North...
Personal wahala, go on.
Yeah, personal wahala. But you see, that personal wahala cannot be removed from the impact we have in his family and in the country that he's a prime minister, no matter how you ignore it. Then the man who you mentioned, who is in North Korea, youthful young man and all that. But again, with his baggage of extremities and all that and all that. Families are affected, nation is affected, lives are affected, positively or negatively. You will judge the matter. But youth, yeah, has a definition, but they come with their qualities, they are well harnessed, and it comes with all these baggages. Politically speaking, I think that youth these days, in 2018, for me, does not have definition.
In Nigeria, that's...
Globally, because
globally,
because...
We are talking Nigeria here.
We are talking Nigeria.
Yeah.
Nigeria, yeah, but you can still, like we say in communication, you can play globally, even though you are local. Look, Obama at youthful age, has served at the highest office in America. But a 70-something-year-old man just assumed office. So all of that has become a mixed bag. We must relate with the times and reality of the present-day world that we live in.
Victor, in our history, recent now, a 42-year-old was a speaker of the Federal House, number 4 man in the country. He ended up badly. You couldn't say he suffered from being a youth.
Well, I'll say this to you. When I talked about the issue of environment, background education and all of that, I think this is an individual thing, it's a personal thing. And for your information, He wasn't the youngest speaker at 29, Salisu Buhari, who ended up with infamy as well.
No,
but be that as it may,
I gave a figure to it.
No, exactly.
No, it's all, but thank you for the embellishment.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Be that as it may, I want to say this to you. While you may have these examples, I would also want you to, I'll go to a foreign example and then come back local again. In Austria today, we have a 31-year-old president in Austria, okay? In New Zealand, we have a 30-something, 34, 30-something-year-old female DJ, not even married. She just had a baby with her boyfriend now, okay? Kim Jong-un that we're talking about, let us remember that there's a family tradition, okay? What he is just taking over from his father, you know.
Talk about
I'm coming to Nigeria.
He's being a youth and a direction.
No. See, his father started. That's his father. And the father chose him because of that quality. Okay, he could have chosen. He had older brothers, older siblings, but he chose him because he had the character that he felt was necessary to continue with the tradition. Now, back home here, I just gave you examples. I mean, we have in the same breath. If you go to corporate Nigeria, when if you look at the banking sector, look at the what you call it now, the Igbo the Foladeolas and the rest of them. You know, Elumelu, they were all there in their 30s, and they did. I mean, they took banking to a whole new level. Okay, so the thing is that just like everything else,
on the one hand,
yes,
national leadership on the other.
No, okay, fine. Let me even dwell on national leadership.
Let's even go there. Yeah.
I doubt that Tafawa Balewa lived to 40. He was in his 30s.
He was not computer literate at the time.
Is that a disadvantage or an advantage?
I do all the asking here.
No, but I will tell you this. You see, the computer literacy is an added advantage.
Yeah.
And the reason is that you're able to do more, perhaps with even less. Look at the way, I keep using this example, permit me, but I like the way Lagos is run. And Lagos is run largely by young people. You know, the governor is shopping for the best in the diaspora, bringing them back home and deploying them in various places and positions. And you can see how well run the place is. The governor himself is a young man. When Fashola was here, he was in his 40s as well. He was a young man, okay? And he did brilliantly well. So while on the one hand, there may be extremities of some young people, but that's a matter of the content of their character, if you like. On the other hand, you also have young people who are doing extremely well, and they are a shining light on governance. Some of the best governors that you have today, if you check among the young people, you may find the bad ones, some of the worst as well among them, but it just tells you it's a mixed bag. So it's a matter of the individual's character, where he's coming from, his background, and all of that.
You must be in love with superlatives.
It's not about superlatives.
No. Is there any such thing as a best governor?
I said some of the best. I said some of the best.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Is there any such thing as a best governor?
No, but obviously, if there's a worst, there's obviously a best.
Okay. Let me give you a little break. Chooks, no, it's okay. You're not preempting me.
No.
I am saying we are talking about the challenge of youth and leadership, especially in the 21st century. And we take off from home. In his book, 1984, George Orwell, the English writer, by the way, you know we are living, we have returned to Orwellian times. The large animal farm is here. He said in his book, 1984, Big Brother is watching you. I take you to Big Brother house. We can broach it in passing. 20 people at the beginning, now they have 14, 6 are gone. The 14 people have their eyes on the prize money, 45 million naira. And you are looking at them in unguarded moments. Are they exuding leadership qualities?
I'm actually shocked that that's the example that you're giving, because for me, it's not,
okay. Give me a better one.
Well, I don't necessarily have to give you, but for me, so it's not the best example that I can point my children to, or even for me, or for people that look up to me. Because what the youths, look at the way you eloquently express yourself. That's what the youths need today, education, not just a classroom education.
Okay.
the examples that is cited in the banking industry and even in the political terrain are not the example we're giving. One generic characteristic of all of them is education. You know, like I told you, I came from the background that I came from. But by 29, when I became conscious of who I was, I made up my mind that without education and all that, I was going to develop myself. And most of the time, I'm here in your studio, you know, ventilating my thoughts and all that. It was a decision that I have to make at 29 going forward with my life. And today, I have children that I have to constantly counsel and tell that education. So for the same use that we're talking about, what they need is not the kind of example that you have given, where we constantly seek access to wealth that is looking for expression. Look, there are good examples. One of my examples that I want to cite here is pay a visit to Computer Village here. And you will find young men, Nigerians, who are involved in one activity or the other, that we're not paying attention. The media is so cynical about such activities, is this type of things that you mentioned about Big Brother, that they're interested in. That cannot take us anywhere. Politically speaking, like I always say here, I can drive this nation in any position that I'm given today because I have so prepared myself.
Not given, that you earn. You must earn it.
Well, I'm qualified now to earn it. But with the media, not be cynical when I express my desire to want to even acquire it. He wants to, he's desiring the position. How much?
No, he wants to be president. Be specific.
Absolutely. Yeah. He wants to be president.
Yeah.
Watch how much exposure or support he's going to get from his friends in the media and all that. You just cited an example that I will not support my children to pay attention to. So it is our priority. But our priority and what we should do is begin to tell our youths to emulate the Tony Elumelus, to emulate hard work, to emulate vision, to learn how to dream dreams, to desire, to want to. Then equip yourself educationally. You don't necessarily have to go to the four walls of a university. There are many examples that you can follow. John, or the guy who is the Judge Oponwe of Liberia, 4 years or 5 years ago, went back to school. Today he's become president. Why? Desire. When he had a desire, there was pursuit. There was an activity. It's not sitting down in a locked up room where you expose yourself and where you assert our sensibilities in the name of, by the way, how much is 45 million naira? How much is it? You buy a luxurious car. That cannot sustain you, even in short term. Because you are now a celebrity and you need to live a life of celebrity. Who eventually...
But the youth, the potential leaders of tomorrow, of our tomorrow, are interested in the 45.
But it's our responsibility to let them know that wealth that is greater than 45 million naira will follow you if you've developed a vision and if you've developed a desire and a dream. If you stay with that vision, no matter how small, you called me a publisher. I went to school to study mass communication at old age. When I graduated, I didn't even plan to study practice journalism.
I did the same thing because your environment became too certificated.
Well,
too certificated.
My certificate was not to come and present to you for a job. But
no. I'm not talking about Chuks Nwoko. I'm talking about...
But the point that I'm making here is that today you address me as a publisher because in 2010, I discovered that this developmental media that the regular media has abandoned, it must become my responsibility. So I saw a gap.
Yeah.
So I started publishing the MDG magazine where I focus on developmental issues. And even though it was difficult to publish, we found somebody who was ready to support us. In the last 5 years, we publish.
Okay.
And it's paid for.
All right.
So that is what the Nigerian youth need to leave the 45 million naira and know that money, the rules of money must be followed. And the rules of the money is that money follows a vision and a dream.
That's it. Victor, there's a marked difference between building the future for the youths and building the youths for the future, if you get the picture I'm painting.
I agree with you. But in a way, they go hand in hand, and I'll explain what I mean. Building the future for the youth is a responsibility of the elders because there has to be a conducive environment. There has to be educational facilities. There must be all of those things that are conducive for education to thrive, which are largely absent in our society today, which is why you find top people in government, politicians and businessmen sending their kids abroad. You find that, you know, our school, okay, right now, NASU, non-academic staff, are on strike. Does anyone care? Is anyone listening to them? You understand? Does it bother people that these people are at home right now, that the children are probably not in class, or even if they're in class, so many things are going wrong and all of that. So there is a need to build the future
so at
for
that
the
point,
youth.
You're not preparing the youth for the future.
No. That is preparing the youth for the future. You have
when NASU is on strike, it has affected the youth, the students.
The future, yes, exactly. You know, so with that kind of environment, the products of such environment, obviously, tomorrow we'll look at them and begin to blame them. But the seed has been planted, and so what will now distinguish individual, youth will be like what he has done, what you have done, what so many other people have done, self-motivated. You have said to yourself, no, yes, the environment may seem this way, but I'm determined to make something out of my life. And so you see the odd individual, standing out among the pack. And so, but on the other hand, the youth, what was the other thing again? The reverse of it,
Okay, preparing the youth for the future
and preparing the future
for the youth.
For the youth. In preparing the future, for the youth,
we should do more than that. We should prepare the youth for the future and not the future for them.
Well, I still think that it's a responsibility that every father owes his child, for instance, and that, and every society owes the next generation. We need to prepare the future for our children. What kind of future? You've heard this phrase. What kind of future are we building for our children?
Yeah.
That is obviously preparing the future for the youth, okay? On the other hand, we also need to prepare them
for the future.
For the future, so that they'll be in a position to prepare an even better future for the generations to come.
Chooks, our youth are largely, and this is debatable, largely intemperate and sensual. So it is not ready for leadership. Debatable?
I don't know whether it's debatable, but the truth of the matter is that there's nobody preparing for any future for anybody here, apart from the elites preparing their children for the future, if there's any future.
Please underline that. The elite preparing their own children
for the future.
You know,
if there is, I didn't end it there. I said, if there's any future at all for us, because you see, in other climes, I had the opportunity of being outside of the shores of this country, and while I was in a particular city, I heard the governor of the mayor of the city speaking on television, and I paid attention, and he was talking about innovation. The city was talking to residents of the city that that city must become one of the greatest and the richest cities in the place. And to be able to do that, they needed to think innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, and all that other stuff. And it caught my attention. Now, we don't have that here. What do we have here? I will show you what we have here. We have a very unproductive enterprise here, which is politics. We're not productive enough. The little that we have is depleted, so there's constant strife and quarrel, and the little that we have is being stolen and all that. So we don't even have a future. But what is going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years, that you're going to have these elites who, when they leave the governor's seat, they will put their children and all that and all that. If it's not going to happen in the next 2023 or whatever. But the point is that I don't even see, if you go outside of the shores of this country, you understand what I'm saying. Look, most cities of the world are driven by local technologies. If you go to the popular shop down here in Ikeja, abroad, when you drive your car to the entry gate, you operate it by yourself. Now, when you are going out, you pay at a point, you get into your car and you drive up. But here, there are employment opportunities. Are people who are standing in that place. They're not even paying attention to their job.
And our abroad here.
Yes. But the point I'm making.
No, I know. It's not to cut you short. I'm saying our abroad here takes us to Ghana. I hear in Ghana, things are beginning to work.
Absolutely.
Ghana is not too far away from Nigeria.
So that productivity that you're supposed to have in our nation is absent. All you have is what we're doing here, talk. We're becoming like the Americans, constantly talking. There is no productive activity. Now, if you have read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, you understand what I'm saying. There's a very important principle in the book. It's less than 90-page book that says...
Like a booklet, yeah.
Yes, that says for less than 1,000 naira.
Yeah.
Take time and read it. And what you're looking for inside that book is not the whatever, is the principle of looking for the cheese that have been depleted. So, and these guys who are fond of going to take from the cake are quarreling with these guys who produce the cake and all that and all, the cheese. The point that I'm making here is very simple. Where is the future in a place where people are not productive, where people are looking for money? I keep repeating myself. And thank you for inviting me, because after a while I think these guys are not going to invite me anymore because I'm constantly repeating myself. We have an unproductive population. I got used to working because, like I said to you, I was born at a period in my life after the war. I have to till the soil. I have to go to the farm. The reason I came to Lagos was because I got tired of the fly and the sun that was hitting me on my head. And I know that coming to Lagos, there's no need. There's no point going back because I have turned my back on farming. But you know what? I came with my cousins, Chinedu and Solo. After a while in Noshodi, they said they were going back. And they went back to the village. I stayed here. And I know that by staying here, I better give it my best. So I developed myself.
So who is better?
Huh?
You or them?
No, I can't do that comparison because they have, if they're not better, they would have returned. Okay. If I was not better, I would have gone back home.
But I'm sure you have heard. But I'm sure you have heard the crazy story of the man. Hold on, the crazy story of the man who went at 28 went to a palm reader, read my palms, and the man said, between now and 30, 2 years, you remain poor. And he says to the palm reader, look again, beyond 30, what happens? The man says, you become used to poverty. Crazy.
But none of those things, none of those things are actually wrong. Both poverty and remaining poverty. Yeah. Well, remaining poverty is wrong.
It's a matter of definition.
Being poor is not a problem. What I have as a problem, because I am an example, is remaining poor. What you can actually do is to use your head and do some thinking.
And here
emulate people. Tony Elumelu was not born poor. He lived in one room in Masha.
Yeah, we are talking about intellectual poverty.
Developed.
Which is crazier.
Absolutely.
Victor, you hear about cult gangs and so on and so on. They are not peopled by old men. These cult gangs, which is a phenomenon of the 21st century, was created by the so-called gerontocrats. The old men use them. You want to be president. You won't need them.
Absolutely, I'm not going to need them. That's the truth. I'm glad that you added the bit about the gerontocrats using them. But you know what? Whatever we see in our society is a product of the very society. I'll give you an example. If you see, I mean, the devil obviously will find work for an idle workshop, for an idle mind.
Whoever is so-called.
Well, whatever. You know, so if you find a group of, let me use Yahoo as an example.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to the issue of cult, or cultism. The Yahoo boys are probably a group of nerds who are wrong, who are misdirected, either by themselves or
the environment.
By the environment and all of that. That same mind can be used to produce internet or digital entrepreneurs, because it's the same skill set. You understand? Mm-hmm. But we have not created an environment that will allow that to thrive. And so they instead use it negatively. Same mind. The cultists we're talking about, these are idle minds. I do not see anybody who's comfortable. If you have self-esteem, you have everything to live for, you're not going to waste, you're not going to go and risk your life in gangs, street gangs, or doing drugs or cultism. And so these are a product of our society. They are speaking to the environment, to the kind of, place that we're in. If they had jobs to do, you won't find them to employ to go and begin to kill, okay? The people who employ them to kill people or for rituals and all of that, you find politicians, you find old people who won't use their own children for these things. And then they employ. What I see, and this is really, really, really terrible and something that needs or has to change, is that it does appear as if the a certain class in society, let me not, a certain demographic, a certain class in society.
We are going on break.
Deliberately,
break.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember, take it home quickly.
Will deliberately impoverish another subset so that they can create some sort of dependency syndrome, and then always they have to rely on them, for whatever it is that they need. I seem to be under pressure right now. We'll talk when we're back.
Okay, then we'll go for this break, but not before I had shared this with you. George Bernard Shaw, the English writer and essayist, said, "Youth is such a wonderful thing, but what a pity to waste it on children." Think about that. When we come back, we'll continue. I'm sure you've heard this statement: the most effective way to destroy a people is to obliterate or wipe off their understanding of their own history. This country is not interested in history anymore, gentlemen, and this is very sad. If you don't know where you're coming from, you are headed in the wrong direction. So applies to the youth too. We keep hearing, by the way, Cross River State has passed the bill not too young to rule. And I can't wait for the first young star who will take up a position of leadership. And I hope I don't trace him to a prominent father or mother. Am I making sense?
Well, you are. You see, that particular act is going to serve two purposes. But in the end, it will depend on the people. Nigeria is today ruled by the class of 66. I'll explain what I mean by that. There was a coup and the counter coup. Now, the class of 66 is still in government till tomorrow. A whole generation is almost passing, without having a fair share or fair shot at governance, because these gerontocrats have installed themselves and institutionalized themselves over the years.
Using the youth, Victor, largely.
Well,
what are they supposed to use?
Yeah, so now what has happened? Yes, so what has happened is, one, they have destroyed the educational system, and then while doing that, they send their children to the best of schools abroad. The health system here is destroyed, and so those that stay back are dying and they go abroad for treatment. And then what's going to happen is those that are born around that same time and after will end up serving their own children.
The point that the voice I like to add is that...
But you got him.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Is that while I was growing up, I'm sorry to use myself as an example, my bosom friend was basically poverty. Myself and my mom. But she was always pointing to other families to see those people, you can be like them. She was a stark illiterate, couldn't speak one word of English, was a farmer, farming cassava, pepper, and melon and all those. But she had she saw people come home for Christmas. We stood at the windows of my elder brothers with the children eating on the dining table, wearing dirty brown pants and all that. But we had images of those children in our minds to be like them. And just to go to secondary school was difficult. 100 naira was what was paid for me to go to boarding house at the time. I spent 2 years out of school, that school, until eventually in 1976 I went. By that time,
sorry, Chooks, it tells you, I'm sorry, let's make it more conversational. But then it tells you that parenting in your time has changed.
Absolutely. That's actually where I'm going to.
Okay.
So now I am here and I have 3 kids. What am I doing? It's difficult. What am I doing with my kids? But I have given my best and I'm still giving it my best. That is where it misses. When you accuse, there will always be poor people in society. What our parents, it wasn't just my mom that did that. Most of the people that I saw growing up in my village, they rode bicycle from my town to PPGS in Iseluku every morning. The reverse is the situation, even though we have a secondary school, though we have a secondary school in my town. In fact, we have the town, have a board begging parents to allow their children to go to school. In the morning, they go to the farms, the young men are drinking and all that in the mornings. The same place where I grew up. Look, I just came back home for a burial and all that. My immediate elder brother's home has been vandalized. Mattresses and everything have been stolen. What do they do with those things? You just, give them away, then they drink beer and all. The point that I'm making here is that the political class or the politics that we play couldn't have taken place in a vacuum. Poverty is not a bad thing. It's remaining poor that is a problem. If in the 60s and in the 70s, those of us, we were able to, you and I came to Lagos in 1981, I heard your voice on radio on Martin Street. Yes. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who your parents were. But you rose above those setbacks and became what you became today. And they recently unveiled you. People are beginning to see who you were. You were more like a masquerade. People wanted to work on radio. You and your likes. But the point that I also need to add is that I don't know where you were in 2002 or in 2003, but I need to draw your attention to it. What all of you are talking about today, in 2002, 2000, Reverend Chris Okotie came on air. You were cynical, I suspect, because all the media people were cynical. When he started propagating the paradigm shift, people laughed at him. 20 years or 20-something years after you are hammered. And I'm irritated by that because somebody in 2002 went on TV all over the place shouting that there was need for a generation of young people who have the mental capacity to take over from these old men to begin to drive their affairs. The newspaper people, we take the story and bury it inside the pages of it instead of putting it on the front line.
And you are one of them.
You are one of them.
Okay.
I hadn't known my right from my left.
No. Victor, and what he has told you is simply painting this clear picture. Every generation of Nigerian youth would tell you it is more intelligent than the one before it and wiser than the one coming. You have a problem there.
I don't have a problem. I would say this, apart from the individual traits or characteristics, of the individual, one thing is clear. Every generation is riding on the shoulder of the generation before it. Obviously, we're exposed to much more now. In my handset, I have the world's biggest library, if you like. Call it Google, call it Wikipedia, or whatever. Okay? And so I have huge resource at my fingertips. Now the generation before me never had that opportunity. Okay? I'm able to reach out to anyone, anywhere in the world with my phone. I can talk, I can respond. I can respond to things instantly. So my capacity has been infinitely much more enlarged than that of the generation before me. And so I'm in a good position to be able to say that I am more advantaged than those that were before me. However,
sorry, I have a
mental
call.
capacity. Okay.
My problem with having the world's largest library in your telephone has a disadvantage. We'll come to that after I would have met and greeted Cecilia here in Lagos. Welcome, ma'am. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Good morning, sir.
I greet you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, let me just make a point. They said the youth in Nigeria.
Sorry about that. Better luck next time.
Wow.
Yeah, so the youth of the now generation, Victor, hardly reads. And we go back to what he said the other time. Parenting has gone awry, gaga, as they say, because people are too busy being parents to pay attention to their children.
Well, I'll say this. I always like to talk about the individual. I don't like generalizing.
Okay.
In this same generation, you have the Kindle, Amazon Kindle, where you have all your books and you can read it in the Kindle. I'll just give an example. There are the visual aids right now, and obviously, whether we like it or not,
Professor Wole Soyinka didn't have the advantage of your library, your sophisticated library, but he's no less a scholarly fellow than he is.
But Chimamanda has access to it, and I don't consider her any less.
There's a meeting point.
Fine.
You have bridge the miles, bridge the generational.
I do not agree with Victor that because I have a kid, I have 3 children, I have my second child.
But if I land
have an argument with me.
Let me quickly take Opera. Opera is here in Lagos, right?
Hey, Mr. Jones, good morning.
Yes, sir. Except that,
good morning
wait,
Victor
Mr.
And the colleagues there.
Mr. Jones, the Animal Farm. I'm Mr. Hussein. Let's go.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Victor and his colleagues.
Yeah, Chooks.
All right. Please, your topic is very interesting. The youth and the critical question of leadership. Yes, we have a brilliant youth in Nigeria. God has deposited so much blessing in this land, human resources in the youth and other debate. I'm telling you, the condition they find themselves here, the environment which Mr. Victor is saying, look at the environment we are in. Tell me what to be in his brain. No light, darkness everywhere, no good schools. If you're opportune to go to Ghana here and come back, you will cry for this nation.
Don't cry, don't cry.
Do something about it.
So much impoverished Nigerian youth with actual fear and poverty that nothing is there. A youth of 30 years, 40 years has no job, has not married, not done anything. Tell me when it will start.
Will it be?
We need people. We need young men who will come out with intellect, just like my Victor and his colleagues are saying when they were youth. They have encouragement, but the government of Nigeria does not encourage the youth.
Is that youth ready for leadership in 2019 and beyond?
Ready. They are very much ready.
Okay.
But encourage them. There's no encouragement in your presidency here. Other nations encourage their youth.
All right.
No encouragement here.
Thank you. Victor, we talk, taking it from there, we talk about mentorship.
Yes.
Mentoring the youth vis-a-vis the leadership question. I'm looking beyond 2019 because nobody must tell me about a 40-year-old. However, give me the word now. He might be for election next year as a senator, as a governor, and as a president.
Unfortunately, I don't agree with you.
Unfortunately, that's why we're having a debate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I do not agree with you because permit me, because leadership cuts across. You can be a leader in any sphere of society. When I look at a man like, permit me, I want to use 2 or 3 religious leaders as an example from one sector, for instance. When I see Kumuyi, I see Adeboye, I see, what's his name now?
Oyedepo.
Oyedepo, yes, exactly, that's what I wanted to say. When did they start? At what age? They were in their 30s, and very young men. Oyedepo started with basically nothing, Kumuyi like nothing. Adeboye, okay, fine, he took over from someone else, but he took things to a whole new level altogether. Yeah. He added innovation.
There was a tutelage, mentorship. Just a minute, yes, don't jump the gun, we'll come back there. Okay. Mazi Okorafor is waiting patiently at Arochukwu. Welcome, Mazi.
Good morning.
I greet you, sir.
Jones, and good morning, our guests in the studio.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mazi.
Nigerian government should stop recycling of people in any appointment. This will create room for the youth to participate in governance in this country. A situation that they will start asking you of years of experience. How will you get experience if you have not been given anything to do? These are the questions people should be asking. Anyway, now the question now is, our youth should come out from their slumber and take their rightful position. You see, what happened in South Africa should be a lesson to all Nigerian youth. You saw what happened with Zuma. It was the youth who spearheaded that movement. So I see as a Nigerian youth, we have capable hands. What do you mean by capable hands? If you check records of international records outside, These are Nigerian youths that went to that side, that went abroad to do work or to school or to get their master's, and they are good. But because of the environment here, when you come, the old men at the top there refuse to go. They will continue changing their age, bringing an affidavit from court. They should ban all those things so that the youth should have opportunity of participating. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mazi. And that same recycled gerontocrats, if I borrow from Victor, use the youth, chooks.
I asked you.
They don't use old,
I spoke to you.
They don't use old people like them.
Because, why do they use youths? I explained to you that youths come with strength.
Are you begging the question?
Well, I'm not, but I'm answering it. It was a rhetorical question.
Okay.
I was saying to you that I already told you that youths come with energy, strength, and all these things that they come with, their own baggage and all that and all that. So we must not separate ourselves from the reality. Youths we have in Nigeria a mixed bag. There are those who, like I said to you, have dreams, desires, pursuit, and they are doing well in their different spheres. Victor mentioned a few of them, and I have mentioned. And I'm saying that today, I do not see any future outside of what we will create for ourselves. Why will somebody in 2018 still be talking about government no do this, government no do that? You have not had government for how many years, how many decades in this country? The place where we are standing today requires that you stop talking about light, stop talking whatever. Let those things be a motivation to say there's no light. What can I do for myself?
Chooks, I'm sorry. Let me take George here in Lagos. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Citizen Jones.
I greet you.
Good morning to your panel.
George, good morning.
Yeah.
Long time.
Good morning, George.
Thank you. Citizen Jones, this question of leadership for youth, one has to define it succinctly. In our private enterprises, the youths are already leading. If you take a look at the banks in Nigeria, there's hardly any MD of any bank that is more than 40. They are in their early 40s. So leadership, you are probably talking about political leadership. If that is the
that might be the missing link. So
okay.
Now you get me.
Yeah, no, political leadership for the youth, for me, is neither here nor there, because the leadership has its characteristics. And one of the characteristics is integrity, skill, and moral uprightness. It has nothing to do with age. Because if you look at our governors today, there are some of them that are in their 40s, but they are not the best of governors that we have. In the Senate, there are some. The most troublesome senator in Nigeria is 42 years old. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking at it from the perspective of age, you can't link it with leadership. The National Association of Nigerian Students, if you look at their activities, you see that whenever it comes to decision-making about the polity in Nigeria, they behave like the other corrupt Nigerians. During the last election, you remember what happened to Citizen Jones. The NAN, the student, that is the body of Nigerian students, they got divided about the money that they were given on who to vote for. And they were fighting about it. Are those the ones you are saying they should come and be our political leaders?
Yeah, okay.
They are not right for it, in my view.
Thank you. Money they were given not by the youth, but by these so-called old men.
But that's why I told you, I apologize to you for using myself as an example, because that's
no. Why not? But the point, if you are a lamp post, why not?
But the point here is that my mother wouldn't have allowed me to run off with a politician without shouting her head off and all that and all that. So our responsibility, you and I and Victor, as parents, is very crucial. But you see, like George said, if you go to the Senate, you'll find, I don't want to mention his name, you'll find him exhibit those characteristics that you know.
At that point, do you say he's suffering from?
It's an age thing.
Oh, okay.
That's why I told that youth has a definition. There's something called youthfulness. The exhibition of that youthfulness is what should have been taken by that man to the football field to represent Nigerian football game.
All right, let me take Yakub in Dokwemo. Yakub is not a small boy. Yeah, welcome.
Good morning, George.
I greet you.
And good morning to Victor and the other gentleman.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, I quite agree with last caller, George. But having said that, Mr. Victor made a very valid point earlier that in this country, you find out that the elite, when we are talking about political elite, political leader in this country, I can tell you this one, it will be very, very hard for you to get out of position. And then I have reason for saying that. What Victor said earlier is that if you look at this country, you will see that they make sure that the education system is not working. They make sure that everything that youth have access to become a leader, they are not working. All because all their children, they are not attend to the same thing that we are attend to in terms of education here in Nigeria. Yeah. You see them, they send their children out of this country in order for them to go and acquire a very good education, and then they will bring them back to come and lead us. Yeah. I was saying that. John, do you know in 2019, most of you to come out in order to fight for political leader because of the constitution that not too young to run. But it would be very, very hard for them to get it. But why is it that? Because those people that in the power today, they have already taken our money, and then they will use the same money in order for those people that is properly in education to give them money because of the poverty, and then they will use them against the same youth. So not to get to that power because their poverty in the land is too much. When they give them money, they will allow the same youth to get to that position.
Thank you very kindly, Yakub. But let me give you, an assurance. Victor's children are schooling in Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
At least until further notice.
Schooling in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say so because I believe in this country. I know that, I mean, for me, common sense, you see, while the elite are doing all that they're doing, they forget that, you see, the biggest network is here. You go to University of London, come back, you get a big position out there. But you know, the kids that go to Unilag here are going to have the widest network, okay? For secondary school here, your mates, because you're going to operate in this environment, unless you want to go and operate over there. And so we owe ourselves a responsibility to make sure that the system here works for the sake of our children and for the generations to come.
And Victor, for the sake of this discussion, let me take you to Osun State.
Yes.
The State Assembly is about passing the bill, not too young to run. Good.
Yes.
I'll be interested as well, as I did in Cross River, to see the first not too young who takes over, if he would be the child of a commoner.
I'll tell you what's been happening. And I said, so when I say the class of 66, and you will see their children now in position. And not only that, even those ones in position now, their children are beginning to marry each other.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's a perpetuation of this, if you like, this elite class.
Victor, and they're doing it before our eyes.
Before our very eyes.
I have the last but not the least caller. He's here in Lagos. Johnson is here. Welcome. Join the fray. Yes, Brother Johnson, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm listening, sir.
Yeah.
You are giving me a passage, right? Hello?
Yeah, let's go. You are on.
Well, I said you are giving me a passage.
Which passage now? Which passage?
I said I want your contribution. The two men that are with you, the two girls that are with you.
Yeah.
I listen to. They are very versatile in terms of the analysis. Please, what are the solutions? What are the solutions? How could our youth will be diverted to reading culture?
Okay.
Are you listening, sir? How could our youth will be diverted to the reading culture? Because most of the youth of nowadays, all what they knew is about the football and the hip hop. Are you listening, sir? But when it comes
and
to
why not?
To read in depth, please, how can they divert to that reading culture?
Thank you, Johnson.
A reader is a lead.
Yeah, Johnson, at the time I was like you, I don't know who is older. I'm 68. At the time I was propelled by those things, but I had a bigger picture. Victor, how do we take it home? Well, he gave you what's the answer, or what are the answers?
Well, the answers are right before us. The thing is, we have to, youth empowerment is very, very, youth empowerment, youth employment, and employability is very, very key. And I say so because if we have that at the back of our mind, in empowering the youth, we need to be able to create an atmosphere for them to be able to read, make schools attractive, okay? And not only that, make sure that when these youth come out, there are jobs that are ready for them. What we find is a situation where there's a degradation of the educational system. How much do we allocate for education? How many schools have libraries? Are the public libraries
not
properly
virtual.
funded? Where
libraries not virtual.
No, I don't even have a problem with virtual.
Yeah.
And I say so because when we travel abroad, you may have physical libraries, but you also have virtual libraries.
So, okay.
And we're able to, these are environments where people are able to thrive.
Victor, I'm sure every once in a while you pour over a book in printed form.
I do that. I do
Chooks, how do we take it home?
The way to take it home, in reference to the question that Johnson asked, is that Nigeria has enormous problems, and those enormous problems bring enormous solutions. So the responsibility of the Nigerian youth is to become part of the solution. How do I become a solution to this problem? And those solutions are inside books. So these books are at Semes bus stop on the floor. Go to, I don't know about Ikeja bus stop, but that's where I used to go to. Go to Ikeja bus stop, you look around. You must be inspired to solve a problem. And titles, you must love words. The other thing that I have done, I would suggest people to do, find somebody that you can listen to, that can inspire you with words. How did you become a journalist? By sitting down and listening to your teacher. You must find somebody that can teach you and inspire you.
Chooks Nwoko, I must thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thankfully, you are not eyeing any political office.
I am. Victor,
Victor,
did I tell you that?
Victor,
did you ask me?
I wish you Godspeed.
Thank you very much.
All right. Chinua Achebe wrote his book, Things Fall Apart, at the age of 28. And I'm looking at a 28-year-old in 2018 writing a pamphlet. It's possible. Bye-bye now.